Neil Martin, do the portals have too much control over UK estate and letting agency? Talk to me.
Portals. Now there's a topic that we could talk about for a while, I'm sure, right? So here's one of my thoughts on this. The only reason they have control is because they've been given it.
By who?
The agents.
We created them, didn't we?
And it's no different to how pretty much every small to medium business relies on things like Facebook. It's the same thing, right? We've had a platform that's come along that's been free. And because it's free, what do? It's free, fantastic. It's going to help me, right?
Nothing's free in this world.
And then it stops being free. And then it slowly creeps up in price. But provided it's giving us value for money, will we keep paying for it? Okay, now, I'm not going to get into a debate about how much value for money different portals and things do or don't bring. I think, because as much as anything, I think that's an individual decision for every agent in terms of what it means for them. Do I think you can get great results without being on the portals? Yes.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely, right? If you make
I
good
see
use of
lots of
social
agents.
media and everything else, you don't necessarily need to be on the portals. But if I'm a member of the public and I'm looking for somewhere new to live, where's the first place I go?
Rightmove.
100% every single time, right? Rightmove, you know, and I'm sorry if you're Zoopla or somebody watching this, you're an afterthought, right? It's a bit like if somebody goes into a bar and they order a Coke and the place serves Pepsi, the response they'll get is, it's Pepsi, is that okay? Right? You know, and most people will say yes. It's that same
I used to
kind
work
of
at
thing.
McDonald's. We have to say that's McDonald's cola.
Right. But, you know, it's the same kind of thing, right? You know, you ask for something, you get something that's a close comparator, and most people don't care. But we have this thing that's reserved in our brain as that thing. And here in the UK, that's Rightmove is where we go when we want to find somewhere new to live. It's our first port of call. Which means if I'm not on it, I'm missing market opportunity. That doesn't mean I can't be successful not being on it. You know, if you look at price comparison websites for insurance companies, there are some insurance companies who are very proudly saying, we're not on comparison sites. It's the same kind of thing, right? In fact, if I was an agent that's not on any portals, I would tell people, you know, we're not on portals and this is why. And it doesn't really matter what your story is, you just got to have one. What's your reasoning? What's your justification? And if it's because we're trying to save money, that's the wrong story.
But if you can say I can get your property to 1,000 more people by putting it through Facebook, and here's an example where 26,000 people saw it, whilst
Exactly.
on Rightmove it only got 2.
Exactly. You know, here's a more cost-effective way of using the money that we're going to get from your sale. You know, when we sell your property, we're going to take a fee. Here's a more cost-effective way,
Or more
of us
productive
using
way.
this. Exactly. You know, and how do we know that? Well, this is the turnaround time that most things are on our books, etc. So if you've got the story to back it up,
And the stats and the numbers and the conclusion, the result.
100%.
But saying we're doing it because they're bastards and they're taking too much money off us is not a good answer.
Nobody cares.
No one
right?
cares.
That's about you. It's not about your client. And we've talked about this before. It's like, what does it mean to the client? And certainly for me, you know, if I was in the process of buying a new house or selling a house, I'd go, why is it not on Rightmove? You know, that would be a
But
thing
as long
for
as
me.
you have a good story, because let's be honest, plenty of agents came off newspapers. And again, 20 years ago, if you weren't on a newspaper, you couldn't sell houses.
Absolutely.
But we managed
But
to persuade people.
who buys local newspapers these
There you
days,
go.
right? It's changed, it's shifted. And it's exactly that. If you can get in front of the right people and you can prove that you get in front of the right people,
By telling the right stories.
you don't have to be there. But you have to be able to position that from the customer's perspective. Do the portals have a place? Right now, absolutely. Will they still have one in 5 years, 10 years' time? Well, that's really down to the rest of the market and what it decides to do. And it's interesting. I mean, there's always political stuff going on in this country at the moment, right? And people talk about like the power of voting or whatever. One of the things that I'd like to point out to people, and you know, I hope this isn't teaching anyone to like, you know, granny to suck eggs type thing, but you vote every single day with your behaviour and your actions, and in particular with the way you spend money. So if you're an agent and you're spending money with the portals, you're voting for the portals. If you want to get rid of them, guess what?
Get rid of them.
Stop supporting them, right? Because if you're supporting them, they'll grow. If you stop supporting them, they won't. Now, if the world without them seems too scary to you, then that's how you choose to vote. But every action and every behaviour you take is a vote for some kind of consequence. And I think, you know, that pedals all the way back to everything we do in life.
Because making no decision is the decision, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Indecision is Well, so there's a quote I read. I've read it again recently, but I first read it like some years ago, and I love it. It says, "In any situation, what's the best thing to do? The right thing. What's the second best thing to do? The wrong thing. What's the worst thing to do? No thing.